What's up, y'all? It's Alexandria Galore, and I am back with another one. So last time I gave you guys a revamp of a closure wig, and this time I'm going to be giving you the revamp of a frontal wig. I did kind of like bleach and pluck them at the same time, but you can see the difference. This is the frontal I'm going to be using, and it's curly texture, so I'm going to be revamping a curly wig that I already had. Just in case you needed to understand the process at the beginning, I always put a little bit of developer over the lace, let it sit for about 30 minutes, and it makes the bleach mixture easier to process the knots. So now I'm going in with the bleach. You want to make sure that it is thick, so thick that you could put your brush like in the air and it will hang off and not completely fall. So that is what the frontal and the closure look like together. And coming up, you'll see what the frontal looks like. So that's what it ended up looking like once I washed off the bleach. As you can see, the bleach did what it needed to do to give it a natural look, and I end up using neutralizing shampoo just to get any leftover bleach that maybe I didn't see, so it can stop processing. And then this is how they both turned out. But like I said, we're focusing on the frontal today. If you missed the closure video, you can just go back one and it'll be right there. So this is what I do when I pluck. I never dry pluck. That's just because you're going to end up splitting hairs. So you'll think you pulled the hair, but you'll only have pulled half of it, and the knot will be there, and it's just too much for me. So I put this in 2x speed, so of course I'm not going that fast, but normally when I pluck, I do go pretty fast, and I try to find different areas to pluck from so I don't have a bald spot. So this is the wig we're working with. This after I've washed it and let it air dry, and I've kind of combed it out with my hand. One of the hardest things to do is to try to attach the frontal to a wig that you've already cut the frontal off of, because the placement has to be perfect. Almost 9 times out of 10, I go back in at least twice, but a lot of times it could be 3, 4, 5 times to get the frontal in the right position, because even when you position it on the head, it can look different once you have started to sew it, especially if the material on your cap isn't what you need as a good placement. Like a full cap and a cut cap is so different when it comes to placement. You have to know where you're going to be sitting and stuff, and you would think it's just like, oh, I'm just going to sit it next to the track. You put it on and now you got more lace on one side than the other. So you definitely have to be conscious of that. But once you get that down, it's pretty simple. So this is me just sewing on the frontal. And once I have that all together, then I go into the styling. So here we are, we're getting into the styling. I'm going to cut some baby hairs. Baby hairs is one of the hardest things for me. The cutting part is the most simple part, but when it comes to actually laying them down, child, I be out of it. So if you watched any of my videos, you know I am preparing for my favorite part, which is having that little lift on the wig once you use the hot comb and kind of push back the hair. So I started off by just adding my wax stick to the hairline, and then I'm going to come in with the hot comb and pretty much push all of that hair back. If you needed a recommendation of like how much heat on regular color, natural colored hair, I will use it at 410, but I am more conscious when it's colored hair, and I will probably try to keep it between like 375, 390, because that hair is already processed and I don't want to like do too much to it. But pretty much you want to be going in, pushing it back, and it's very hard to do with one hand, so I look like I'm struggling right here. But the outcome is like very cute once I turn this camera off and can actually get into the wig and, you know, move the head how I need to move it. But pretty much I'm just going in and hot combing the front so I get that kind of lifted effect. Okay, so now that I've gotten the frontal right, it's time to move on to getting the actual hair to look how I want. I don't have to do much because I've already deep conditioned this hair, but I do want to go in with some water and get those curls to look a bit juicier, less dry than they already look right now. And plus, I'm going to need to get that frontal to match the hair. The hair is old, the frontal is new, so the frontal still has that super tight curl versus a little bit of a looser curl for the tracks that have already been used. Then I'm going to go in with my Lotta Body mousse. To me, this is the perfect mousse if you don't want it to be super heavy on the hair. It's lightweight and it isn't sticky at all. So when you're putting it on the hair, you don't have to worry about that either. I would use this for just styling the hair for a day. If you wanted something that was going to be a bit more heavier and stay for several days, I wouldn't say that Lotta Body is the product. Maybe if you added some holding spray or holding gel with it, yes. But anyways, this is what the final product looks like. Now, I told y'all I'm not a beast with the baby hair, so they do look a little, different. But overall, the look turned out how I wanted it to look, and that's all I could ask for. So thank y'all for watching.